Good afternoon, everyone. And fun.
We are raising our guidance.
Great success, success, success. Great success, success, success means great profit, great profit, great profit. Mediocre success still means profit. Good afternoon, everyone. Still means profit. Still means. Good afternoon, everyone. Profit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Live TV Ratings Talk. This program, I'm Brandon Thurston, broadcasting live from Buffalo, New York. Today is the night before Christmas. It is December 23rd, 2021. The ratings for AEW Dynamite have just come out. AEW Dynamite, after a disappointing rating last week, reaching just over 1 million viewers on TNT last night. 480,000 of those in the demo. That comes out to a 0.37 demo rating. 0.37% of the nationwide 18 to 49 population. Compare that to, we will be doing some of those comparisons today. Compare that to Raw's demo rating. 1 demo point higher, 100th of a decimal place higher, with 495,000 viewers in the demo. Raw well ahead, though, of course, with total viewers boosted by its non-demo audience that is almost completely in the P50 plus category. 1.55 million viewers for Raw this week. Smackdown doing its highest since, I believe, September 10th, the MSG show. 2.3 million viewers for SmackDown. A 0.52 in the demo for SmackDown, as Roman Reigns turned on Paul Heyman on SmackDown this week. So we will discuss, what are we going to discuss today? It's in the description. We will discuss Dynamite, why the rating was so high this week, but so low, not good last week. We will look at Raw and Dynamite in various demos this week, how they compare. We will look at NXT and its aging audience in the proper context. We will look at the idea. I have some information to share, some information you'll see nowhere else, about to as we look at the idea of, could Rampage go on an earlier time slot, going head-to-head with SmackDown? If you were a TNT scheduler, would that be a good idea? We'll look at that. And finally, why is Rampage this week on Christmas night instead of Christmas Eve? I have some thought to share with you that I have not heard brought up elsewhere. So let's talk about Dynamite. This week, its highest rating since, its highest total viewership since October the 6th, which we see right here, when it did on October 6th, 1,053,000 viewers. The last time that Dynamite reached 1 million viewers. And what we have here shaded in the blue, highlighted in the blue here, these rows, these are all the rows that have been affected by the West Coast time change, with Dynamite no longer airing in prime time on the West Coast on TNT, but airing live earlier out of prime time. That apparently still happened this past night, this week, even though the NHL games have been postponed because of COVID. But nonetheless, So it's not like that's a reason for why this rating was up. This was the highest 18 to 49 since November 17th. So not that many weeks ago, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks ago is when Dynamite did the exact same 480,000 viewers here. On the October 6th episode, they did pretty similar. But on the 27th, which is the first week when Dynamite was being affected by the West Coast time change, October 27th, they did over 500,000 viewers in the demo for a 0.40. But this was the highest in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. So we can look at the competition that Dynamite was up against. Last week, it was up against an NBA game, which was not up against this week, but it was up against a college football game in its place on ESPN. I'm not up to speed on what's happening on MTV's The Challenge. I'm not up to speed on what's happening on Bravo's Real Housewives of the OC. Both those shows were on tonight, but Wednesday night. We got Real Housewives here doing a 0.24 in the demo. Got The Challenge here doing a 0.23 in the demo. Again, I thought the Challenge finale, I was told, is a 2-part finale. But here we have the Challenge again with apparently these are supposed to be only cable originals here, so I don't know. But the Challenge is listed here. Real Housewives is listed here. No basketball game on ESPN, but a college football game instead. We got The Price is Right winning the night. The Price is Right holiday special, it looks like. I missed it on CBS. Doing a 0.61 in the demo. 5.1 million viewers. By far the most watched thing on TV. There was a Masked Singer Christmas episode of some sort that Dynamite actually beat on Fox. That did a 0.30 in the demo. So there's that. NBC aired some kind of movie. I don't know what it was, but it did a 0.54 in the demo. So was the competition weaker this week than last week? Counting up all the programs that we can count through Showbuzz Daily, the answer is yes. The competition was not as strong as it was last week. If we look at the entire picture of viewership, it's lower than last week, lower than the week before that, but not lower than the week before that. But if we look at the demo and wrestling's audience, and especially Dynamite's audience, AEW's audience, is disproportionately in the demo, 18 to 49. And if we look at just at the demo, we got 6.3 million viewers among cable originals, among broadcast in primetime watching from 8 to 10. 6.3 million on average. That is lower than anything in these. I think this is 8 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 weeks we look at here. I did this last week too. 10 weeks. And the demo, the average viewership across, I want to say all of TV, but it doesn't include reruns. Across most of TV is the lowest in at least 10 weeks. And we can look back a little bit further. I've got these numbers going back to August in this spreadsheet. And the answer is, this is by a slim margin, the lowest that I've got in, how many weeks is that? That is 16 weeks. And let's just make this bigger so you can see it. And in fact, the last time, I mean, it was pretty low back here on December 8th relative to these entire 16 weeks, where there was just under 7 million viewers, a little over 6.6 million viewers on this Thanksgiving Eve night. So maybe viewership was just weaker because it was the night before the holiday. But if you look at this October 6th episode, which again, by the way, this is the highest total viewership for Dynamite since October 6th, which is a night when cable originals plus broadcast from 8 to 10 averaged 6.8 million, which is among the lowest on this list. But anyway, competition appears to not have been as strong as it had been in at least recent weeks. So maybe that's a factor. We can look at, too, though, Rampage and Dynamite. is Rampage a predictor, or vice versa, for what Dynamite is going to do? And if we look at the line graph, this is the entire history of Rampage that we're looking at here, lined up with the entire time of Dynamite over that same time frame since mid-August. And just visually, I'm not running an R squared on this, but just visually, there does seem to be some correlation. Rampage was up this past Friday, and then Dynamite was up. So maybe some interest in one program predicts or drives some interest in the other. Maybe it was the face paint. Maybe the face paint helped. Who knows? But it's astonishing that a heavily hyped episode involving a title match, which is not common at all on Dynamite, between Adam Page and Bryan Danielson, that episode, Winter is Coming, we can look back here, did only a .31 in the demo, 948,000 viewers. So actually, when you think about it, in total viewership, it's pretty close. But in the demo, that's a difference of nearly 100,000 viewers and a 6-point ratings difference in the demo rating. Maybe the hour-long match and all the talk and hype about it drove some interest to this following week's episode. It would be interesting to look at, and I don't know, I haven't seen it, but it would be interesting to look at the DVR viewership for last week's episode if it was especially high. I would be interested to see that, but I don't have that data. That's Dynamite, isolated, standing alone on itself. Yeah, we looked at sports. We looked at other competition, though. Looking at this year over year, this is total viewership year over year. This is demo year over year. And Dynamite is, in total viewership, outperforming a similar period last year. December was a really strong month last year for Dynamite. It involved last year's Winter is Coming. It involved the episode after last year's Winter is Coming, with the first advertised appearance of Sting, and then it also had the Brody Lee tribute episode. So December viewership, despite still being in the Wednesday Night War, going head-to-head with NXT, did exceptionally well. Demo not performing as well. I guess I don't know why the dots are not lined up here. Or maybe, was this the episode that last year's episode is probably not included in here? You know what? Because I have preemptions excluded. And last year, in the same week, I think, that's when Dynamite aired at 10 o'clock. So not included in here. To not put misleading comparisons on the chart. Anyway, but you can see this dot here, and this is probably the Brody Lee episode here in the light blue. The last dot on the chart for 2020 that in the demo appears to have done better than this episode did in the demo. So there's those things. Now, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a super chat, and I will do my best to address it. So here's the chart of all of wrestling television right now, and we've, as people enjoy pointing out, we've got Dynamite and Raw coming extremely close this week in the demo. In the demo only. Yes. Let's look at total viewership real quick here. Total viewership, far wider gap. If we look at the scoreboard, how much of a gap is that? It's like 500,000 viewers, right? Raw did 1.55 million viewers. Dynamite did an even million. Okay, so big difference in total viewership, but the demo is the more important metric in television. And Dynamite coming really close to Raw. How close? It is a 3% difference. It is a difference of how many viewers? Well, it is a difference of, 495,000 this week for Raw, 480,000 for Dynamite. Raw in recent weeks doing among its lowest demo ratings in its history. Of course, television overall is down, but doing well down from what it had been doing earlier in the football season. Raw has been going against the NFL, Monday Night Football, since September, as it does every year. It goes against Monday Night Football. But its lowest demo rating ever, 2 weeks ago, 462,000 viewers. So a little bit lower than what Dynamite did last night. The following week, last week, just over 500,000, and the week after that, just under 500,000. So these are, I believe, the 3 lowest demo ratings that Raw has ever put up, for what that's worth. And we've got the ranking here lined up as well, though, to show, look, lowest demo ratings in Raw's history, still ranking pretty highly among other programming. And most of the programs that it's being outranked by are either Monday Night Football, the game itself, or the pregame, the postgame program, other programs on ESPN that are touching the huge audience that Monday Night Football attracts. So Raw, though it's doing it for its history and just for even its recent history, doing an exceptionally, I mean, look at this. This is probably the post SummerSlam episode. So this is an exceptionally good rating for Raw on August 23rd, 826,000, down to under 500,000 in 2 of the last 3 weeks. That's taking an extremely good rating and putting it up against the lowest yet. But anyway, the value of programs these days is largely about the value is largely about the audience that you're able to deliver in the context of television overall. In the context of television overall, even though these are low ratings, Raw is doing well in the context of television overall. So I don't see this as crisis for their TV ratings value, at least not at this point. So how close did Raw come to, or did Dynamite come to Raw, or vice versa, in this the same week? We're looking in this table at AEW Dynamite, its viewership totals across various demographics compared to the most recent weeks of Raw, SmackDown, even Rampage. And you know what? I always forget to update the formatting because this one doesn't automatically update in the same way as the other charts. But if we update this, there we go. Rampage actually outranked Dynamite with younger adult women, 18 to 34. Rampage had a larger audience, 18 to 34 among women this week by 15%. So, but anyway, Raw led Dynamite by 52% in terms of total audience, again by just 3% in terms of the demo. Dynamite did beat Raw in the same week, this week, by 21% among men, 18 to 49. So the male part of the demo, Raw had a larger audience, and we can look at what that means in terms of actual numbers. That's 355,000 viewers, men 18 to 49. Raw, 293. Again, 355 to 293. Dynamite led. But in women, 202,000 for Raw, 124,000 for Dynamite. So Raw well ahead with women by 63%. 63%. In the younger half of the key demo, Raw was ahead by 26%. In the older half of the key demo, 35 to 49, Dynamite was ahead by 6% by a slim margin, and it was 343 to 323, a difference of 10,000 viewers. 10,000 viewers in the older half of that key demo. Anything else remarkable here? Dynamite led in M 18 to 49, both in terms of the younger half and the older half. P50 plus, of course, Raw led by almost doubled Dynamite in P50 plus. If I don't have actual viewer numbers for P50 plus, but if I multiply the universe estimate by the demo rating, we get something approximately 500,000 for Dynamite, almost 1 million for Raw. I've got it as 991,000 for Raw, 503,000 for Dynamite. So look at those things. Now, if we look at year over year, just what all these programs are doing compared to the same month of the last year, this is on the left under the light blue heading. This is total viewership under the green heading. This is the 18 to 49 demo. We've also got the non-news cable originals calculated daily, the top 50 shown here for comparison about what's TV doing overall. And TV overall, or at least the top 50 non-news cable originals, are down 4% so far in December. Dynamite is down 4%. Smackdown is down 4%. Raw is down 8%. NXT down 10%, and Impact cratering by 46% at the moment. They've got one more show tomorrow. Oh no, tonight. That's right, because it's Thursday. I'm using median here to sort away any exceptionally low or exceptionally high single weeks. So we're looking at sort of what is the typical viewership in this month, not the average, which is slightly different from the median. In the demo, Dynamite is down in total viewership and the demo. Dynamite is down in the demo compared to December last year by 17%. The first time since the end of the Wednesday Night War that Dynamite is down in a year-over-year comparison by month. You would think that, well, maybe Dynamite would just do better in a year-over-year comparison, at least until April, which is when the Wednesday Night War ended, but not the case. Dynamite not able to equal its performance of December of last year when it was going head-to-head with another wrestling program, NXT. NXT is down 28% in the demo. By the way, non-news cable originals, the daily top 50 are down 9%. And wrestling across the board is doing worse than that baseline. SmackDown is down 28%. Raw is down 23%. Again, Dynamite is down 17%. NXT down 28%. And Impact down 42%. So there's those things we can point out. I've got this chart on the slides, really from last week, just showing that this doesn't include winters, because this is stopping after winter is coming. But this is looking at, I believe, the 7 weeks before the NHL season started, and the West Coast started to watch Dynamite live earlier in the day versus after. It's a difference of 22% total viewership, and it's a difference of 23% in the demo. Question: will Dynamite recover that audience, part of that audience, when it moves to TBS on January 5th? We'll see. There's the median age. We're going to talk about median age more when we talk about NXT for a moment. That's what Rampage has been doing. So we will talk about Rampage and SmackDown after I take a drink of Holiday Nog. Sounds like a sponsor, but it is not. After I take a drink of Holiday Nog, and I'll be right back. There we go. That's the drink break music. It's also the roll credits music on Wrestlenomics Radio. So the question: should Rampage move to an earlier time slot? Something that I've sort of idly thought about. Rampage being so late is such a disadvantage for Rampage. Certainly, it would do better viewership in an ideal situation where it was on earlier in the day. However, to go earlier in the day on Friday would mean that it would go earlier in the day and go against SmackDown, the most watched show in all of wrestling. 2.3 million viewers this week. So would that be a good idea? We can weigh a number of factors to think about whether that would be a good idea. Whether that's something that would even be tenable for, a programming scheduler to allow. We need some information about, well, what does this would happen if not on TNT, then maybe on TBS. So maybe they would put it on TBS or TNT. But the question is, what does TNT or TBS do from 8 to 10 right now? How does TNT or TBS do against SmackDown? And the answer is in this chart here. This is skewed by a few anomalies that did exceptionally well. So we'll look at a little bit more readable chart in a moment. Don't worry. But most of these ratings, we're looking at P18 and 49, believing that that's what Turner cares about more than P2 plus. So most of these ratings, so we got the blue here for TBS, got the red here for TNT, and most of these ratings are. This is all rerun well, it's mostly rerun programming, stuff that we can't get through Showbuzz Daily. So this is mostly movies, is what we're looking at here. In some cases, there's an NBA playoff game, which is probably what this number here in June is, that did 1.6 million viewers in the demo. I'm not sure what this TBS number is that did a really high rating. It's probably a baseball playoff game. 1.4 million viewers in the demo. There's a couple numbers here that are probably March Madness that did 1.1 million viewers in the demo on TBS. 950,000 viewers in the demo on TNT. That is NCAA basketball tournament March Madness, which makes me realize that Rampage, and we'll talk about this now. Rampage is probably going to be preempted in March for March Madness, assuming that, I'm not sure if all the rights are the same. I imagine they are. I'm just guessing. Somebody might be able to correct me there. But assuming that TNT is going to air March Madness basketball in March, there's probably going to be a week where that's going to air on Friday night at 10 instead of Rampage. And then there's probably going to be a night where an NBA playoff game has got to air on Friday night, probably in June, instead of Rampage. So I had not considered those things. That's probably something that's going to happen. So let's look at this chart in a little more granularity. We're going to ignore these exceptional Friday night demo measurements here and look at the bulk of them, which occur between, just under 100,000 viewers in the demo to 500,000 viewers in the demo. Most of them live, I don't know, around, I could have done a distribution chart here, I suppose, but most of them live around 200,000 viewers in the demo. Some of them approach 300. Very few of them surpass 300,000 viewers in the demo. What is, just if you want to think about this as a demo rating, I imagine some people do. So if we think about this as a demo rating, let's say 250. 250 divided by 1304.5 is 0.19. A 0.19 in the demo. That's about what Rampage does. Now there does, if I just throw a linear trend line over this, these numbers do seem to be going down over time. So I don't know if we're just in a lull for a viewership for this time slot or what. Again, most of these airings are movies, are reruns of Hollywood movies that have originally appeared in the theater and are now just appearing on TNT. And is that what the TBS numbers are as well? Let's see. TBS Prime movie. Yeah, it's a lot of movies. It's a lot of Friday Night Vibes with Tiffany Haddish. Yeah, it's mostly movies is what it is. So, let's see here. So, I guess my thought is that if you've got Rampage, which let's look at the Rampage numbers in recent weeks here. make this bigger over here on the Wrestlenomics viewership spreadsheet that you can get access to by going to patreon.com/Wrestlenomics. But if we look at the most recent Rampage numbers, we got a 0.23 in the demo this week, which was much better than it had been doing in recent weeks, but a 0.18, 0.18, 0.18, 0.22. So it's doing, I don't know, that's an average of roughly 0.20. So if we take that, Rampage doing about a 0.20 in the demo at 10, and let's move it down to about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whatever it might be, and how do we estimate what Rampage would do earlier if it was not at 10 but a little bit earlier? I imagine it would be roughly the difference, sort of inverted, that we see that happens to Raw. And what happens to Raw in most weeks, and I've got this averaged here by quarter, and Raw loses about, so from their last hour, Raw's last hour is at 10 o'clock, same time, different day, but same time that Rampage is on. And we think that the number is going down because it's getting later in the day. Other factors, but more than anything, it's just later in the day and people are going to bed or whatever. And that's why viewers are not hanging on. And what we see is about a 10% loss in viewership, total viewership, a little bit less than a 10% loss this year in the demo. That is comparing 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So maybe it's something like a 10% gain that you get in viewership. So let's just to make this simple. Let's do this in terms of a demo. Let's move it over to 8 or to 10, or I'm sorry, 8 or to 9, and let's say that'll give it, without thinking about SmackDown yet. Let's imagine there's no SmackDown. That'll give it a 10% boost. Is that it? Does that sound right? Or should we be aggressive and say 15%? Let's be aggressive and say, let's give it a 15% boost. Now it's a 0.23 in the demo. A 0.23 in the demo. And then let's realize that it's going to have to go against SmackDown. And are there any precedents for trying to imagine how an AEW program would do if it had to compete with a WWE program? Do we have any track record of that? I think we do. And the answer, of course, is NXT in the Wednesday Night War. How much did Dynamite's rating go up when it no longer had to go against NXT? To get an idea of that, we can look at the monthly averages for Dynamite. And let's look at, say, the March average, the last full month of the Wednesday Night War, and then we'll look at. We can't really look at May. We can look at most of May, actually. Do I have preemptions excluded here? I do. Okay, so we can do this. So there's actually a little difference. Okay, there's some. There's actually, they did, this is 2020. Okay, yeah, there's a decent difference here. So let's look at March, which did 384 versus May, which did nearly 400,000. I got a 0.23 here. I've got to remember that. So just what difference is that by percent? So this is May's number divided by March's number. This is a math show. That is a difference of 3%. Can that be right? Let's see here. Divided by 3/8. Yeah, it's not that big of a difference. Interesting. April was way, way up, though. I don't know. Let's do June. Because, okay, so 452. I think I'm still here. But the math must have been overriding the stream. Anyway, if we take 18% off of that, so that means multiplying it by 82%, right? 0.82, boom. And then we get about a 0.19 in the demo. So let's see here. A 0.19 in the demo, that against SmackDown. And imagine SmackDown might be an even stronger competitor against an AEW program than NXT was. But anyway, we end up with about a 0.19. And a 0.19 is not a better rating than Rampage, or it's very similar to what Rampage does right now at 10. And then it means you're taking a movie that would be in the primetime slot around 8 o'clock and moving that to 10, where it doesn't perform as well. Basically, certainly, it doesn't perform as well at 10. And that, if you're a programmer, that makes your average viewership in the demo across the entire time frame lower than it would be otherwise. Suffice to say, unfortunately, even though it would make my life perhaps more exciting, certainly would make my Twitter more hostile. Maybe I don't think that there's a strong argument, at least for the circumstances that we have right now, for Rampage going to an earlier time slot. But it was a fun fantasy booking experiment. Now, this coming week, not tomorrow, not Christmas Eve, but Saturday, Rampage will air on Christmas Day. I believe the first time Rampage is aired on a night other than Friday. Hook will be there, taking on Bea Bronson. And I've heard the reasoning or the explanation for why Rampage is airing on Christmas night rather than Christmas Eve. I've only heard it discussed in terms of, well, it'll be better viewership for them. It'll be better viewership than going Christmas Eve because presumably people are more busy on Christmas Eve than they are on Christmas night. So it's better for capturing viewership, maybe. Not to mention, if you're a wrestling promoter like Tony Khan, you probably have fond feelings for the tradition of Christmas night wrestling that existed in the territory days, most memorably the world-class Star Wars event that had the cage match between, which I just watched the other night, between Ric Flair and Kerry Von Erich, and Terry Gordy on the outside watching the door, Michael Hayes as the extra special referee after the Freebirds had just won the six-man titles with the help of David Von Erich coming in to support the Freebirds. And then the Freebirds turning on them. The cage door slamming on Kerry Von Erich's head as Terry Gordy slammed the cage door shut, setting the territory on fire and things of that nature. Anyway, that happened on Christmas night. And it used to be a tradition to have wrestling events on Christmas throughout the territories. However, I think something else is afoot. That being A Christmas Story. Which, if you look at the TNT schedule, is scheduled to start at 9 p.m. Friday night. 9 p.m. Eastern Friday night. Which means it will be airing instead, in the place of, I mean, it'll be airing for 24 hours, but it starts just before Rampage would have been on in a normal week. So my guess is that it was Turner/TNT's plan to, it's Christmas Eve. We want to play A Christmas Story. That'll probably attract strong viewership. I mean, I think I'm not even kidding. There are, if you go back into the Showbuzz Daily Record and you look at like December 24th and December 25th, maybe even, you will see just rows upon rows, even though it's only supposed to be cable originals, but maybe there's other stuff happening in between that is new content. So I don't know how they're classifying it, but there's rows upon rows of A Christmas Story in at least one Showbuzz Daily table that I remember seeing. But so A Christmas Story, I think, is preempting Rampage here. It's not just that AEW decided they wanted to move to a different night to do their own thing and to do better viewership. I think it's a matter of Turner wanted to do A Christmas Story on Christmas Eve, which is maybe what they've done in previous years. I don't know. And it just so happens that Christmas Day, Christmas night, Saturday night is the nearest opportunity in the future to reschedule, and there is the fact that you can say, oh well, we can do the traditional thing of having a wrestling on Christmas night again. So anyway, there's that. We will look briefly at NXT before we wrap up, and I can say about NXT, the median age, as everyone wants to point out, I've really got no one to blame but myself here for publishing this information. The median age for NXT was 64 years old. The highest, perhaps, of any wrestling program ever. I don't know. I've got this data going back to May. I doubt it gets younger. I doubt it gets older the further back you go. But this is higher than even some of these sort of volatile numbers that we read for Impact, which has gone as high as 63. Before this week, the highest that NXT had gone was 62 2 weeks ago. And there's been 3 instances where it was 62. I can tell from looking at this chart. So it skipped right over 63, went right to 64, the oldest median age that I've ever seen in the, 7 months that I've been looking at this information. So I tweet this information, get a lot of people, quote tweeting it with gifs of old people doing things and people joking about how it's just old people, in nursing homes and retirement homes who are watching NXT, obviously. So some context for that, and we can just look at, I don't know, is there anything interesting to derive from what NXT has been doing lately? It's somewhat like Raw has been doing some of its lowest ratings in the demo in its history. It, unlike Raw, is not ranking very highly. It's ranking in the 40s, the 30s, sometimes in the 50s. The Halloween Havoc episode did rank number 11. Some of these early 2.0 episodes ranked at or near the top 10, number 10 and number 11 for the first 2.0 episodes. But what I want to point out is that wrestling is young. Wrestling viewership is pretty young. It's TV that is old. And if we look at NXT as a percentage, NXT's total viewership as a percentage of the demo, it has now slipped under 30%, which is the lowest in all of wrestling, all of nationally televised wrestling. Raw and Smackdown are hovering in the mid to low 30s in terms of a percent. Dynamite and Rampage are considerably higher, closer to 50%. Dynamite in the high 40% range. So NXT's age, the age of NXT's audience, is trending older, which means its viewership is less valuable. But to be clear, I don't think it's accurate to imagine that there's all these old people watching NXT. TV is very, very old, older than most people are probably imagining it. TV is very, very old. In that picture, wrestling is especially young. Most wrestling is especially young. AEW's viewership is on the youngest side of that. And NXT is just becoming less young in that picture. Because if we look at, let's say, look at what has been opposing NXT on a Tuesday night, and we've got, this past week, 9.5 million viewers in the demo, about 9 million out of the demo. If we take that, express that as a percentage, we get, 9.5 divided by 38.6. That's 25%, which I believe is pretty high. If I look at my my other sheet here that shows me the actual percentage of the demo among the total viewership, it's 25% this week, 20% last week, 20%, 21%, 20%, 20%, 23%, 23%, 21%. And then what's NXT doing again? In terms of a percent, it's now slipping under 30. So it is merely approaching the standard for primetime viewing of cable originals and broadcast. So it's becoming more normal among television generally. So that means that the median viewer of most programs is probably over 6. I don't have that data, but it stands to reason. I could be proven wrong, but it stands to reason that the median age viewer for most programming generally is over the age of 60. It's just that most of wrestling is younger than that, and is why, in part, it is valued. So there's that. There's all those things, and I think that's all for now. We do have a super chat. Thank you from DJ Convoy. Oh, he just says thank you. No real question, but thanks, Brandon, for being a logical and clear-headed voice in the often stupid ratings and other statistics discourse. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. So I think that's all I wanted to touch on for tonight. You can press like. That helps our algorithm. That helps more people watch this stuff. How many people are watching tonight? I haven't looked at the. We got 53 people. Wow, that's pretty good. Before long, we're gonna have to get WrestleTix to start tracking this attendance. You can hit subscribe if you haven't already, to subscribe to our channel to get notifications and so forth about when our live streams are. You can go to the Post Wrestling Discord to discuss pro wrestling business in the Wrestlenomics channel. I do this program every Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And it's at these times. I think it's at these times around the rest of the world. This coming Sunday, it will be the day after Christmas, and we will be doing a Wrestlenomics radio. We will be doing it live. I think there's a Bills game this Sunday. That's a home Bills game, so that means we'll probably be doing it early, if you're used to tuning in live. But it'll be, of course, on all the podcast feeds, on the Post Wrestling podcast feed, on the Wrestlenomics Radio Wrestling podcast feed, and it'll be on YouTube afterward, of course. You can subscribe to Patreon, patreon.com/Wrestlenomics, where you get all of my TV ratings reports that come out nearly every weekday. You get access to the Wrestlenomics viewership spreadsheet with some 20,000 data points in it. You'll get audio of this program, audio if you just find it easier to consume this show in audio form rather than video. The audio of this program will be available soon after I press stop here. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon Thurston, at Wrestlenomics. You can go to Wrestlenomics.com and see lots of numbers and resources and articles about the professional wrestling business. So thank you all for listening. Hope you have a wonderful and safe holiday season, and we will talk to you again on Sunday for Wrestlenomics Radio. Thanks for watching.